Hi, okay. So today I want to talk about the good side about your personality. So far we've gone into a lot of work on why you might be chronically ill and the things that you're doing wrong when you're looking inside yourself and the things that are keeping you sick, right? Like being a perfectionist and having this kind of obsessive personality and really wanting to get things right and perfect and have other people see you good, right? You might carry a lot of shame. You might carry a lot of these perfectionistic qualities and the need to please others and to have them see, you good. All of these things make, you're negative about it. You have all these attributes inside that are making and keeping you sick, right? So I want to talk about the flip side of your personality and the flip side about healing and how we can use our our personalities that right now are holding us hostage and use them to help get us well. So if you are, filled with shame and anger and sadness, but you don't show that to everybody else. You put on a brave face. You're the type of person who puts on a brave face for others. You hide your true emotions. You hide your true feelings. You hide your illness. You feel like you have to do more, be perfect, do more healing routines, do better. Your drive and your determination just keeps you in constant fight or flight, and it keeps you sick because you're constantly, putting so much pressure, internal pressure on yourself. This is true, and in the last videos I said you have to, take your to-do list off, and you have to take the pressure off yourself internally in order to heal. But there's other ways, because we're not likely going to change our personality traits. We were born with these. These are us for a reason. We can change them, but we might as well, we have them and they're keeping us sick. We might as well use them to help us getting healthy. So if we are always feeling like we need to do more, do better, the constant need to fight and flee and run away and keep us alive and survive, right? We are in constant need to survive. We can use that for our benefit. So that means that we're determined and that we will never give up. We'll go through all of them. We're not going to get eaten by the lion. We're going to run if we can't run. We're going to freeze. Fight if we can't fight. We're going to freeze and lay down and play dead, but we're not going down without a fight, right? Like, we use all of these. Back in the day, we would have been the ones who actually survived, who actually escaped that and didn't get eaten by the tiger, because we are so programmed to have that response to, our cortisol pumps up so high. The things that are keeping us sick actually are the things that if we were actually back in the day and getting chased by a lion would have kept us alive, right? And they're the things also keeping you alive right now, because you're doing them because you feel like you have to. You have to for your family, you have to for yourself, you have to for your health, you have to do these things or you will die. Therefore, you're doing them. So maybe in essence, some of these things have actually served a purpose and have actually kept you alive, right? So we can use these to our benefit. We do have to get out of fight or flight response, because we do have to get into the healing parasympathetic mode or we won't heal. But we can also say, okay, we're determined, right? We're determined. We care. We're good people. We care what others think. We want to do good for others. We want to change the world. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we have high standards and we want to be great people, right? So these are all great. If you flip them around, they're all great qualities to have, and some of the best leaders and people and influencers and people in the world have these qualities, and they've served them well. You know, and some of the people with chronic illness, these qualities have served them well because they have done everything. They have tried every natural health remedy. They get up every day no matter whether they can or they can't. They push themselves, you know, around that track. They eat the right foods. They do all the juicing. They do all the things right. And even though it wears them out, in some people, it actually, those changes made over time are the things that heal them. So our body instinctually thinks it is doing the right thing to heal us, right? And it is, in a way. So we do need to shut that off, but we need to flip it around. So basically, if you're somebody who has this obsessive, high standard, pressure driven personality to be a good person and to please others and to be seen in a good light and to have everything going the way that you planned it, to do your to-do lists, to get them done, and to be perfect and to be on top of everything, we can use that for good. And we can say, okay, this isn't serving us healing because it's keeping us in flight or flight, but the personality traits and the reasons behind it are good. And so we are going to take our perfectionism plate, the need to be perfect, and instead of tiring us out in fight or flight by creating thousands of things on our to-do list and our system can never shut off, we're going to use that same quality and we're going to say we have the need to be perfect at being calm, at bringing down our fight or flight response. We're going to turn that personality trait and use it for good. So our drive for perfection now becomes, how can I, you know, find inside what's going on with me? How can I excavate the emotions? How can I do the inner work? How can I get that sense of enlightenment? How can I meditate? How can I calm my body? I'm going to be the best at calming my body. I'm going to be the best at turning off my fight or flight response. I'm going to be determined. I'm going to use my qualities and I'm going to sit until I feel calm. I'm going to focus on my emotions instead of focusing on all my symptoms. I'm going to, you know, I'm putting a brave face out to the world and I'm hiding my feelings inside. So instead of doing that, I am going to journal. I'm still going to get my feelings out. I'm going to be the best at solving this problem from a calm perspective, from a parasympathetic system based way that I can. I'm going to find out more about that. I'm going to, you know, if you feel like you're a people pleaser and you feel maybe like you're a victim, these are some of the qualities that people who are in chronic illness have, or their need to immobilize and play dead. Well, then we're going to use that to our advantage. We're actually going to calm down. We're going to lay down and we're going to literally pretend we're dead, not freeze our emotions, not freeze our body state, but actually lay down, think about all our feelings, think about all our emotions, breathe through it, and figure out a way to conquer that and to unfreeze ourselves, to unfight ourselves, you know, to unflee ourselves. How can we get back into society? How can we trust ourselves again? I'm not really explaining this properly. I feel like this isn't a good video and I'm not explaining myself properly. But what I intend to say, if you look back at my last couple of videos on the fight or flight response, meaning your to-do list is keeping you sick and your emotions are keeping you sick, if we can take our personality traits that drive us to do that and to act that way and to be that way and use it for how we intellectually know that we're gonna heal by actually by actually calming that fight or flight response and getting out of the danger, we can actually take those same qualities that push us to run and fight and flee and be that certain way that we are, and putting all this pressure, internal pressure on ourselves, and we can use those to take the pressure off ourselves, to sit and stay and feel comfortable and trust and love and know that everything's okay, and use our determination to basically do the opposite of everything that we would have done, right? I used to watch Seinfeld back in the day with my husband. I loved it. I thought it was the funniest show ever. And my husband used to always say, "You're George. You are George Costanza," which always used to give me a giggle because I'm nothing like George. But he saw the perfectionist in me that was like George, where I wanted everybody to like me, and I wasn't satisfied with anything. I had to, just like the perfectionist qualities that George had. Like if somebody didn't like him, he would obsess over it, right? He'd obsess over the little things that he just couldn't take, right? And so there's an episode where it's basically, he says, if every instinct I have is wrong, then the opposite I have must be right. And he goes ahead and he lives his life in opposites, and all these great, wonderful things come to him. And it's a really funny episode. But the point is, if you use your qualities in the opposite fashion, right? So you take your quality, your drive to put all this pressure, all this internal pressure on yourself, and you keep that, because internal pressure is an internal determination is what's actually going to heal you in the long run, and you know that, but you're actually using it for bad against yourself, because you're using it to heighten your fight or flight response, and to flee, and to fight, and to do all these things that aren't getting you better, but the meaning behind it is actually trying to keep you safe. But if you do the opposite and you say, okay, my perfectionist, I'm feeling the need, like all this internal pressure, I have to do more, I have to be more, I have to work harder, I have to get this right, I can't fail, I cannot fail, right? And you take that quality, that drive, and you turn it around and say, and the way I'm not going to fail is I have to sit, I have to breathe, I have to sit and stay, I have to realize that nothing's bad's going to happen, I don't have to fight, I don't have to flee, I don't have to turn off my emotions, I don't have to immobilize, I don't have to freeze all this in my body, I can excavate them, I can get it out, I can do this. So in a sense, if you do the opposite, right? Like, okay, give you an example. You have a to-do list and you're like, oh my God, and you're feeling overwhelmed. And you're like, I have to get this and this and this and this and this. You say, okay, I'm determined. And instead of using that determination that I have and drive to get better, to do this to-do list, I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to use my determination to sit and say, I don't have to do that to-do list. And I'm going to use my determination to say, there's another way, and I'm determined to find it. And that's a distraction, and the truth is that I don't have to do any of those things. I have to sit, listen to my body, listen internally, do the things that matter, cross off all the things on that list that aren't getting me closer to my goal, and only do the things that are getting me closer to my goal, that feel good, that feel calm, that activate the parasympathetic response, right? So it's like doing the opposite. So when you have an impulse to act, you have an impulse because your brain, your reptilian and mammalian and all these old systems are trying to keep you safe. And that's good. You are probably the person who was going to stay safe. But if you wear yourself out and you never stop running, you never stop fleeing, you never stop putting the pressure on yourself, or you lay there forever, you're gonna die, right? So you've used these responses because they have worked in the past for you for other things. They've worked in attaining goals, in getting goals, in pushing yourself, in becoming a great person, in doing all the things that you have, but then they've also worn you out. They've gotten you into chronic illness, kept you sick, kept you in this response And so we have to turn that off, and we have to use those qualities that were given to us and are harming us. And we have to say, okay, it's good to be determined. It is good to put pressure on myself. It is good. You know, these things are trying to protect me. They're trying to make me safe. And so I'm going to take them, my intuition, my drive to be liked, my drive to do things good for other people, be a certain way, have it perfect, be successful, whatever it is, and say, but this isn't the way I'm going to use those. I'm going to use them this way. I'm going to use them for good. I'm going to use them to do the real work that needs to get done. I'm going to eat properly. I'm going to get my foundations right. I'm going to go to sleep on time. I'm not going to touch my cell phone. I'm not going to stare at my screens. I'm not going to push myself walking. I'm going to get my exercise. I'm going to go at a normal pace. I'm not going to wear myself out with so many healing modality things to do on my to-do list that it actually backfires because it tires me out and exhausts me and keeps me sick. I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. I'm going to be determined. So this is a very thoughtful way to use the qualities that are hurting you to use the qualities for good. And so in the vein of George Costanza, for now, just use this funny Seinfeld episode to, every time, if every instinct that you've had is wrong, then you're going to do the opposite. So if you are sick right now, if you're chronically ill, then every instinct that you have done in the last while you're chronically sick, it is wrong, okay? It's wrong. It's getting you the same sick result. So you're going to do the opposite. You're going to do the opposite of that. That doesn't mean go ahead and eat terrible food, and it doesn't mean go ahead and be lazy. It doesn't mean that. That's not what I mean by this. It means do the opposite in the form that just stop and let it sit for a while. Think it over. Breathe. Use your mind to say, is this what I really want to do? Is the world going to die if I don't do this? It's actually getting me, you know, rather than getting caught up in the whirlwind, which is what happens to us in the overwhelm. We get caught up in the overwhelm. I'm feeling like a failure. Then do the opposite, right? If you're chronically sick and you know, you don't often look people in the eye because you feel shame, then you need to take the opposite approach, and you don't want them to see your deepest, darkest feelings. So, but instead you're going to look at them in the eye and you're going to smile and you're going to allow them to see your deepest, darkest feelings. They can't see them, but you're going to let them see you, and feel vulnerable and feel that it's okay. You're still liked, you're still accepted. You looked somebody in the eye, and that didn't kill you. The shame didn't kill you, right? These types of things. So it's kind of an odd thing. I don't know if I've explained it right, but give it a try. Give it a try, and just, we're trying to activate the parasympathetic system. We're trying to not focus and obsess on our symptoms, but actually go deeper and look for the underlying emotions and what's actually happening. We're trying to not get to safety and constantly fleeing and fighting and immobilizing to make our world feel safe again, but we're just trusting the universe that we're safe where we are. It's okay. So we're just doing the opposite of what comes natural in order to heal us, that will actually contribute to healing. So use your qualities that you have. Don't feel bad about the fact that you're a perfectionist and that you're, you know, obsessive about all these things, and that you get overwhelmed easily, and that you put all these things on your plate, and that you have all this internal pressure, and that you can't figure it out, and you feel overwhelmed, and on and on and on and on, and beating yourself up. Use those qualities that you have that are driving those behaviors, and turn them and use them to drive the behaviors that are actually going to help you get better. So hopefully that makes sense.